and economic policy, a certified public manager and Fort Hays State University graduate. Mason has experience in nonprofit fundraising, small business consultation, and grant writing as well. Mason helps entrepreneurs get across the funding line, develop sustainable strategies, and navigate operational challenges. Also, proud FHU alumni is Micheal Burgess, serves as the Business Services Director at the Innovation Center, where he supports the economic vitality of Northwest Kansas with 2 decades of experience spanning hotel management and financial strategy. Micheal proves that there are vital resources to help regional businesses thrive, which he works with every day. Both Micheal and Mason are actively involved in the community leadership, economic development efforts throughout the region, bringing both practical experience and local perspective to entrepreneurs that they serve. Please help me welcome Micheal Burgess and Mason Rupert.
Good afternoon. Thank you for letting us speak about business services. I appreciate the effort and time for the Eco Devos and the banking executives and the nonprofits that are here to hear about the incentives and programs that Innovation Center for Hansen is putting together. Nice introduction, Scott. Thank you. I don't have to do much more as far as my services, as far as my background. As Business Services Director with the Business Innovation Center. Mason, of course, as the specialist. The titles don't mean a lot between us. We're a 2-man crew working 26 counties to help startups, entrepreneurs, young businesses get going in your community. So we tackle it as a team with whatever expertise we can bring to it and with our network. So we are tied to the Kansas SBDC, Small Business Development Center. So our contract to provide business services at the Innovation Center is tied to the SBDC. So our region is the 26 counties. I like that idea of the magic corner, the 26 counties in Northwest Kansas. Mason and I are both based out of Hays here. We're in the brief space. Grow Hays is down there, so we have good connections with economic development right here in our own community. The other regions, there's another region here. Fort Hays is the head of SBDC. They do have an advisor and have a region themselves. Some of you may know her, Susan Pinkett. She's tied to Fort Hays. She's the SBDC advisor. Lives in Hoisington, works out of Hoisington, but covers the Southwest region. So between the 3 of us, we're covering over 50-some counties here in western Kansas, and as we all know in this room, that's a big task to tackle as you're trying to bring business to western Kansas, and it feels like eastern part of the state dominates. So the rest of the SBDC services are provided through Washburn, Lawrence, Pittsburgh, Johnson County Community College, and Wichita. So they cover kind of those 5 regions, kind of separate the rest of the state. For us, we're out here tackling it on our own. For our presentation, we're kind of going to go a little bit backwards. We're going to let our testimonials and our success stories talk first. Our collaboration efforts through a couple different venues that we work with closely. Let them tell their story. And then in the second half of our presentation, then we'll talk about how that process, when somebody gets referred to us or signs up for SBDC services or business services, what it looks like on our end as we process them through it. And the reason I thought about doing our presentation this way, let the testimonials go first, is because I think it will set that stage. As many of you know, getting into business, starting business, hiring more employees, as Workforce was talking about, it is not an overnight thing. There is a process. It takes time. You're going to stumble along the way. You're going to have to reach out to a circle of experts. That's hopefully where we come in to provide those expertise and guidance and counsel. But I kind of want those testimonials, hopefully will kind of allude to that of what they went through to find the success that they had, and then we'll talk about, here's the process and why the process that we've kind of developed through the SBDC ultimately will lead to success in your communities. So with that, Gorell the Great, Chris Gorell, is in a business that everybody's dying to get into. So here's the pun. He does engraving on tombstones. Chris could not be here today, and I would say that's unfortunate, but it is a very fortunate reason he is not here today. I'll let Mason get to that point, but I want to again talk about the process with Chris Gorell. He's an existing business in Minneapolis, and he signed up in 2024, a little over a year and a half ago, as an existing business that was looking to expand, needed to buy some equipment, a building, wanted to hire additional employees. And when he signed up, really just that was his thought process, not much additional to that, not really sure how to do that. And through that process, he originally started with another advisor, Natalie Ellis, who at the end of 2024 took another job. And so what she was working with him, then I kind of took that on for a little while and worked through the process with him. And then we hired Mason in 2025, and that was one of the first assignments I gave to Mason. And said, hey, we're already kind of working with him. We put some things together. I'd like you to step in and see this through. And that also alludes kind of the process, not only from a business owner standpoint, but sometimes, as small business owners, you're going to find there's little hiccups along the way. And those little hiccups may be you're working with somebody here, but as long as they push forward and continuously ask for help, I think they're going to get it. So I'm going to let Mason kind of tell the story of Chris Gorell and Gorell Engraving.
Thanks, Mike. Yeah, so Chris sent me an email saying he was excited to be here, ready to talk to everybody, kind of tell everybody what he was working on, and then I got an email a couple days ago apologizing that he wasn't going to be able to make it. And I was like, oh, I get it, I understand you're busy, that's what we were hoping for. And he said, yes, I'm busy because we're signing a national contract now, which is a great opportunity for him. So I said, that's an okay thing to miss this for. Get what you're doing and do it well. So he's doing that. So in addition to his expansion that we was allowed to do with our help and his gung-ho, I mean, he was able to add additional employees with the first expansion. This one's going to allow him to almost double that number of employees right in Minneapolis. So that's a wonderful opportunity for him, and we're very proud to see his work. So he did write a testimonial that he wants me to read to you all. So he says, my name is Chris Gorell. I'm the owner of Gorell Engraving LLC based in Minneapolis, Kansas. We're a family-run business. My wife's son and I all work together. We specialize in monument engraving, installation, bronze work, and headstone restoration. Everything we do is done locally on our property, which is something we take a lot of pride in. We serve families, cemeteries, and funeral homes across Kansas and into Nebraska. Over time, we've really found our niche in serving funeral homes and cemeteries directly, helping them provide better, faster service to families that they care for. I've been in this line of work for years, but building this business into what it is today has really been a hands-on journey. The idea for Gorell Engraving really came from seeing a need in our area. There were delays, and families weren't always getting the level of service that they deserved. I wanted to build something that focused not just on the product, but on taking care of the people. As I started pushing to grow the business, I reached the point where I knew I had something solid, but I needed help scaling it the right way. I wasn't trying to get by, I was trying to build something long-term for my family and our community. At that point, I had a lot of questions. I was trying to figure out growth, funding, how to structure the business moving forward. There's a lot that goes into that, and it can get overwhelming when you're trying to run day-to-day operations. That's when I got connected with the Innovation Center and SBDC, and specifically Mason, who became a big part of this process for me. Working with Mason made a huge difference. He took the time to really understand what I was building and where I wanted to go with it. It wasn't generic advice. He helped me organize my thoughts, build financials, and look at business in a more strategic way. What stood out to me was how approachable and invested he was. I could bring real questions to him, and we could actually work through them together. That kind of support made everything feel a lot more clear and a lot more achievable. Because of that support, I've been able to keep growing Gorell Engraving with a lot more confidence. We've expanded services, improved our operations, and positioned ourselves to handle more work with bigger opportunities. I've been able to think more long-term and make decisions setting us up for the future, not just getting through today. That guidance helped to turn an idea into a plan that I could actually execute. In small towns, having someone like Mason and programs like this makes a big difference. A lot of us have the drive and the skills, but not always the roadmap. Having that local support helps bridge that gap. It keeps businesses growing here instead of feeling like you have to go somewhere else to find help. If you're thinking about starting or growing a business, I'd absolutely encourage you to reach out. Having someone in your corner who understands what you're trying to do can change everything. It definitely did for me. We're very proud of what Chris and his team have done. It was one of my first clients I was able to take on with the Innovation Center, and to continue to have that relationship. We don't stop the moment you're open. The moment you achieve that goal, that time, is not when we stop letting up on our services. We're there until you tell us you don't need us anymore. Because there could come a time when he wants to expand again, and we're ready to take on that challenge alongside him. And he was one of the first cases that I had as an advisor that had a unique funding structure. It wasn't a standard, okay, here's his down payment and he needs an SBA loan. That's not the way we went about it. We had multiple people who got invested in this project. So he got a loan from a bank. Next Tech came in, we'll talk about Next Tech later, with their revolving loan fund and helped bridge another portion of that gap. And then the Patterson Foundation came in and helped cover some of that cost to help him get open quicker. They bridged that last tiny piece that he needed to build into this organization that I'm gonna start calling him the Empire. Building into this headstone empire that he's building now. So it's something that we aren't just gonna look at the same roadmap every single time. Every single business, every single type is different, and each one needs care and respect to get to that point that they need to do that as well. Another thing I'll kind of highlight too is we aren't going to push businesses into something that we don't think is going to be viable. We have a lot of success stories that come from people who realize that maybe this is not the correct venue to go about. We don't want to push somebody into debt just because they thought, I got an idea and I think I can secure a loan. That's great that you have that, but have you thought about this is what it looks like 5 years in the future? Now it's underground, you're in debt. We don't want to put that burden on you. So we're that talking point, the devil's advocate for you to let you know this is something we can help you develop, or you know what, maybe it needs some more time to simmer and adjust the plan to go forward. So it's a lot of wonderful opportunities that we've had with many different clients, and Grill's one of them. I'll do the introduction next one as well. Next group is another one of my newer clients. They have been wonderful to work with as well. I haven't met anybody probably as determined or passionate in not only doing something that they enjoy or that they're passionate about, but revitalizing a community and a destination. So I have Tyrell with Tyrell and Jessica Summers, who have been working to revitalize downtown Russell. He's going to tell you about his wonderful venture.
Thank you so much, Mason. I appreciate it. Thank you guys so much for having me here. It's an amazing opportunity to come and speak with all of you about what I'm trying to do along with my beautiful wife, Jessica, in downtown Russell. It's been quite a journey for us. It started about this time a year ago, to be truthful with you. I was a pretty avid volunteer at the Dream Theater, which is in beautiful downtown Russell. Fantastic theater. If you guys don't get the chance to ever go, go there. It's wonderful, beautiful shows. We were volunteering one night, and it was actually the night that AMC closed here in Hayes. It was showing the Minecraft movie, and we were the busiest I'd ever seen in that location. We had line around the entire block. We were just not ready for it, to be truthful with you. But when I stepped out of that, I was exhausted, but extremely thrilled for the prospect of Russell finally getting to shine, at least the main street. And I walked out of the building and I looked across the street, and at that point in time I owned one building alone besides my house, and that was the building that was directly across from it. It was an old antique store. It has a cedar kind of shingle awning on it that is like kind of up, kind of not, and it was in disrepair to say the least bit. And there was an odd feeling of shame, to be truthful with you, as I walked out that door, because I wasn't doing what I needed to do to make that building something different. And I imagined as people coming from Hayes looking out, as they're walking out and seeing this building in squander, for lack of a better term, being kind of like, well, this town doesn't have a lot going on. And I knew I was part of the problem because I really only used it for storage at that point. I had been part of a project in Hayes and needed a place to keep things, for lack of a better term, and a building on Main Street was cheap, so I did it that way. Wasn't a good thing. So I started to do a lot of like self-searching and decided that I was going to try to do something with that building. And first reached out to several people that I knew. One was Janae in Russell Regional Hospital. She works directly with me, and she'd had a previous history with economic development, and she led me pretty quickly to economic development now in Russell with Mike Parsons and with Riley, and they directed me to the Lord's Mason to get set up with him. And so I brought Mason an idea, but also I brought him more than just an idea, and I think that's where things really got exciting for us. At the time, I only had one building that was available to me to use, but there were several buildings in that entire block that were becoming available or were available. And I came up with the not so good idea, I think, to buy some more of those buildings so that not only would I be able to revitalize a single building, but instead would revitalize an entire block of buildings. And so I would say that I went from being just a interested, maybe single business owner to an entire like downtown redeveloper, for lack of a better term. My regular routine life, what I do for a hobby is I'm a physician at Russell Regional Hospital. I provide care there pretty much all the time. I'm on call. In fact, I stepped out beforehand to take a call on an admission to come in here to talk to you guys. I often like look at people when they're sick and try to figure out like how to fix them, and so it just kind of made sense that maybe I would do the exact same thing when it came to this. So Mason and I started working on this idea and this concept of some things that we could do with the buildings that I had, and we settled upon two concepts that we first started working on. The first was a co-working space that would be called Bricks. Bricks is located at 602 North Main right now. It's a very small little building that has 5 offices in it and a small conference center that is actively being constructed now and set to be finished probably within 2 weeks, to be truthful with you. It is a very, very unique process in that I had to work with an architect and with Mason to figure out exactly how we could get this whole process going. And when Mason tells you very specifically that he's not going to set anyone up for failure, there were multiple times I brought concepts to him and we ran the numbers and he showed me how things would work, and he's like, no, you can't do it that way. You have to change it so that it will make sense this way. You have to have X number of offices for it to work. That's where you're going to make the most of the funds that you're going to need. You also need to do the conference space in this specific way and in this specific size. So he was invaluable to me in creating the Bricks concept, to be truthful with you. So much so that even before we're open, the Bricks building is almost completely leased out. Like the day that that building opens, we have a single entity that's coming in to fill up the vast majority of that entire space. And Mason doesn't know this, but I'm actually expanding the entire Bricks concept to a second building further down the street. We'll have even more offices, we'll have an even larger conference room available, and we also plan on having like AV and technology-based services that people can use as well. Kind of very similar to the Brief Space thing here. And so he was extremely invaluable in figuring that out. Which brings me to my next and my true passion project, which you can maybe tell by the cards up above. I'm an avid board game player. I absolutely love playing board games, love playing card games. I've done it since I was probably in the womb, to be truthful with you, but ever since I can remember. We developed a concept of actually having a gaming lounge that acts as a third space for Russell, Kansas itself. One of the things that people have told me over and over again about Russell that makes it very, very challenging is there's nothing for our youth to do. We have the library, we have our wonderful theater, and that's about it. And so people were saying, well, we need something for kids to be able to do, and we came up with this concept of, okay, well, let's create a board game store that's not really a retail store. Instead, it's a place where people can come in, sit down, play board games, eat some food, and socialize. And that is what grew into Blossom Gaming Lounge. Blossom Gaming Lounge has been a very interesting journey for me in that it's a passion project, but also it's changed locations multiple times. We've had it in one building, and then in the next, and then finally in our set to open building in the coming future, which has been very, very interesting. So in all, I've had 4 different buildings in the Russell Main Street 600 block and one in the 800 block. And Mason, again, has been invaluable in helping me find funding. One of the things we used was the Next Tech Revolving Loan Fund, which he'll talk about. It was phenomenal working with Next Tech. They did a great job. I've also been able to work with him in regards to how to do a funding stack and a capital stack, to the point that I'll be truthful, I don't really rely on Mason as much anymore because I know the things to look for and I know the things to do. The resources that he's gave me have been extremely invaluable. Our entire Main Street is going through a historic designation because of a suggestion that he made to me about my buildings. And that speaks volumes alone, because not only is that going to help me as a business owner, not only is it going to help me as a developer, that will help the entire district of Russell Main Street moving forward, because we'll get access to historic tax credits that will make a massive difference in revitalizing that entire section. In all, because of his interventions and his assistance to me, it will probably lead to that block being revitalized and the entire downtown district looking different, which is just incredible. That includes residential upstairs that will be done in 2 of my buildings, and then 4 main building businesses. I'm still looking for the space for the laundromat, which was the other thing that we're still trying to work on. It was one of the things I brought to him very initially, but unfortunately because of the building's unique architecture, it just wasn't possible. But in the end, I have to do very similarly like Chris did. Without the Innovation Center, without these 2 gentlemen, like, it would have been exceptionally hard for me as a physician with no knowledge of business at all to do this big of a process. We continue to work with them. I need to sit down and have another meeting with them about some things, and it's just been an absolutely incredible process to do that. So I don't think I have much else to say, but I could continue talking about revitalization in Russell for the rest of this time, but I think it's probably better to hand the microphone back over to them.
Thank you very much. Gave us actually an update, as you heard, that we weren't even aware of. Fantastic. On the next Friday, I don't believe is coming, so we did get Friday. So he touched on a big part of what we do is help startups and entrepreneurs find their financing. And as an SBDC, you would, I guess, probably think that we lean towards SBA loans and bank loans, and that's, SBA funds SBDC, which funds us. And really, from our standpoint out here, while we'll get you bank ready, so you can go to the bank, and if a bank decides an SBA loan, that's great, or if it's just a standard commercial loan, that's great too. But we want to lean into whatever is out there. So Next Tech Revolving Loan Fund is one of those collaborations and connections that we've made. And if you haven't met Friday's also kind of like Chris. He had another opportunity to speak today, and a award I think was given out. So we knew he was going to probably maybe miss ours. But if you haven't met Friday, I'm sure most of you have. He is another person that is just gung-ho on his services and working to get Northwest Kansas up and revitalized and continuing on. Along with Next Tech Quarry, that's kind of losing my train of thought for financing. Network Kansas, e-communities. I know several of you within here have your own revolving loan funds. And so from our standpoint, we will work to find the financing options that meet that need. And that is a big part of it, is that gap funding. A lot of people can go in the bank will say, yep, we can get you this much, but there's gap funding. And that's where Friday and Next Tech has become a very, very vital partner to us.
Hello everyone, good afternoon. Hope you all are having a great time. My name is Friday Otuya. I work as the Community Engagement Specialist for Nextech, a rural broadband and technology company here in Northwest Kansas. I would like to talk about 3 key things this afternoon. I would like to talk first about our revolving loan fund that we have to support economic development. Then I'd like to talk a little bit about what we're looking for in qualified applicants. And then lastly, I'll mention a few ways that we have been able to collaborate with the business advisors at the Innovation Center, and how that partnership has been very successful for a number of businesses in our region. Okay, all right, so the first, what is our revolving loan fund, or what does the Next Step revolving loan fund entail? I would describe the revolving loan fund as an economic development tool for promoting job creation and for stimulating the local economy. We all know the realities of starting a business or running and expanding a business in rural Northwest Kansas. And so our vision and our intention is to be able to support eligible local businesses and entrepreneurs and founders who want to grow their ventures, expand their ventures in Northwest Kansas and also other parts of the region. In terms of, there are two key metrics we're looking for in terms of eligibility. Number one is job creation and job retention. So the endeavor or venture has to be able to create jobs or sustain jobs or retain jobs. And then the next index we're looking at is the stimulation of the local economy. How much would that venture contribute to supporting other ancillary activities in the area or supporting other business endeavors also? So that's kind of key for us. And then there's a bunch of other eligibility framework that businesses have to go through, but the two key ones are the things I've mentioned. And that kind of leads me to the next point, which is how we're able to collaborate. Because of the nature of our revolving loan fund, because of the requirements that we have, I initially found that it was kind of tough for small businesses to meet our requirements. Imagine a person who's just trying to do business. They don't have any financial background, they have no economic development background. In fact, some of them have no business background. And you're telling them to go prepare financial projection, a balance sheet, cash flow analysis, income statement, a budget, business plan. It's as if you're speaking a foreign language to them. They don't know where to start, where to go, how to collect resources, how to do that basically. And that's where the Innovation Center and Micheal and Mason have been outstanding and very supportive for the next step in our mission, because they've been able to work with a number of clients in a very detailed and supporting manner, helping them to build their business case from the ground up. Because what this documents and the financial projection, the startup capital, and all those other details are trying to do is to build a logical, reasonable case for why Nextech or any other lender should invest in your business. And Mason and Micheal have been able to work with me and work with Nextech to be able to see businesses that are very capable with very raw, I want to do a business kind of idea, to where they are today, where they are functioning, profit-making, revenue-generating businesses right here in Northwest Kansas. We have success cases or success stories from Waldo in Russell County to Colby in Thomas County, to very soon all things being equal in Laura, Kansas. We've had a success story out of Russell, Kansas, and so I can name several that Micheal and Mason have worked on, and they become successful ventures today. So in a nutshell, I would say collaboration has been the key. Nextech, as an economic development organization, we had an intent and a goal and a purpose, and the business advisors from the Innovation Center had also a goal and objective, and together we've been able to come together, leverage our resources, and be able to deliver value to the businesses here in Northwest Kansas. So I would encourage each and every one of us to collaborate. As the saying goes, a tree cannot make a forest. One can go far, two can go very far, and that's what I can say. The success I have had and we have had as Nextech in the last 12 to 24 months in supporting small businesses would not be possible without the Innovation Center and what Micheal and Mason have been able to do. And so we're grateful for that, and I'm going to encourage every one of us to partner with them, leverage their resources as much as you can, and together we can make our region